Terrific. Welcome to it's the 22nd, isn't it? Okay, good. February 22nd, 2023, Planning and Development Subcommittee. I have on my left Valerie Gilman, who is the co-chair of this committee and president of our council. And Tracy O'Neill, this is our third for the committee. If I'm supposed to announce this, if you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer or a device, there's a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options to be recognized to speak. We have Sherry White here with us tonight, and we've got a bunch of people here on the meeting that we'll get to here shortly. We've got nobody else in the. Oh, we do have some participants now. Take a look at who we have. See if there's any city councilors here. We have 4 attendees on the meet. Nope, we got no city councilors on there. So just the 3 of us. Ready? A couple things that are going to be continued. We have matters to be continued. Communication from Seaside Legal Solutions on behalf of DLM Properties LLC, owner of 24 Condon Road. Request for referral to planning board pursuant to GCO section 1.11.3 for an informal review of a proposed amendment to add a transfer station use to the GCO. That is to be continued until March 8th next month. And then also City Council Order 2022-024 request the planning board, our Planning and Development Subcommittee and the planning board review the compliance guidelines for multifamily zoning districts under Section 3 of the Zoning Act issued on August 10th, 2022. That is also going to be continued to March 8th because David Fields couldn't make it this week. So we're going to have it at the next meeting. The first thing that we have on the calendar is the special event application request for street closures. St. Peter's Fiesta 5K road race on June 22nd, 2023. And who wants to grab that? Is that you, Carol?
Yes, that's me.
Just for introduce yourself for the record. And
Carol Meyer, 25 Amherst Road, Beverly, representing the Cape Ann YMCA to request permission to hold its annual St. Peter's Fiesta 5K road race.
Great. Sounds good. We have this is the annual, this is one of the 2 annual events that we have on tonight that has been fully vetted by the special events committee, and they have approved your application through their committee, the advisory committee. And we have a whole list of conditions that are exactly the same as the conditions I think they were last year. Do you want to read them? What's the will of the committee? And these are on record, and they're pretty much exactly the same conditions that have always been in place for this race. Do you have a preference?
I guess I wouldn't mind reading them, but
Of course you.
but could we also understand a little bit more what the road closures are?
Sure, absolutely.
Great.
What you want to? We'll just go ahead and open this up to questions because there's not much really to do in terms of presentation.
Okay,
You want to ask questions, or you just want to read the road closures?
sure, I can do that. Carol, would you mind just reviewing what the road closures are, because that's the issue that we are permitting for?
Right, so it's a rolling close from Stageport Park down to St. Peter's Square, down along Roger Street and the Fish Pier, up and around and back. So the roads aren't closed completely the whole time. It's usually just one way. And the police jump and they lead the runners and they close the roads as needed.
Okay,
We'll read the conditions. What time does the race start?
6:30.
6:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's usually done by what, about half an hour or so later?
We give it 50 minutes to an hour for the folks that walk. But by then things are pretty wound, everything's pretty much done. Once the runners leave Stageport Park, get over the bridge, and the last of the runners go through, the roads open up again.
Right. Do city councilors get a head start?
city councilors can go wherever they want.
Easy.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any questions? Tracy?
Not at all.
Any more questions, John?
No, I'm
All
comfortable.
right, so we're gonna barrel through the conditions so they're on the record. I
Okay,
think we should just go ahead and waive them though for the city council meeting, don't you think? If people don't have any objection. Let's see, so on a motion, we're gonna move that the Planning and Development Committee permit the Cape Ann YMCA on Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 to hold the St. Peter's Fiesta 5K road race with the following conditions. One, certificate of insurance naming the city as additional insured party is on file with the city clerk's office. Two, road closure plans as follows. Streets should be closed as the runners go down, starting at Stacy Boulevard, Western Avenue to Roger Street, Main Street, East Main Street, Porter Street, Wall Street, and back to St. Peter's Square. Applicant must have the police fire department approval of any road closure plans 30 days before the event, including any police details. Applicant and its staff must comply with specific directives of the police chief for managing runner traffic. Roads to be closed or to be marked with signage directing the public as to the duration of the closure and alternate routes. A route map must be provided to the city council. Any substantial changes as determined by either the police or the fire chief or their designees to the route or related to safety issues will require council approval. Three, refuse and comfort stations. All refuse and recycling due to this event must be removed by the organizer. Any portable toilets with two handicapped accessible are to be provided and maintained by the organizer, placed the evening before the event or early on the day of the event, and removed by 11 p.m. the day of the event, if applicable. Four, emergency services are as determined by the city EMS director. Five, staffing. Event staff is to have cell phones and to wear distinctive shirts. The list of event staff and cell phone numbers must be submitted to the police, fire, and DPW departments before race day. Six, responsibility of the Cape Ann YMCA. It is the sole responsibility of the Cape Ann YMCA to ensure that all required documentation is timely filed with the appropriate city departments. Failure to comply with any conditions may result in permit revocation, and I so move.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the amendment? The only thing I would add is we should probably add in the starting time, which isn't on here.
on the application?
Yeah, it didn't make it
Yeah.
did on the application because it didn't make it onto the.
No, it
commission.
didn't because I didn't put it. And then I got an email and I sent an email saying it was at 6:30.
Okay. You want to add that to that? It'll be fine. with
The
that.
start time is 6:30. We'll be there by 4:30-ish.
Okay, so we'll just do, if there's no objection, we can move to amend the conditions that the start time is at 6:30 p.m.
Very nice to move you.
Okay, discussion, second, motion, questions,
Nope. We
vote,
don't do
all in
roll
favor?
call.
Aye,
Aye.
good, well done.
Okay.
We are an efficient lot, us P and D people. All right, all in favor of the motion to permit the race? Say aye.
Aye.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank you.
Have a good
race.
evening.
I will not be running.
Nor will I.
Okay, all right. Mr. Firmino, I believe you're next.
Yes,
Same thing here. We'll just give us a little rundown on the event and the road closures and the starting times, and we'll run through the conditions and send you on your way.
thank you very much. This is a Sunday morning, 9:00 a.m. start on September 24th. It's Nautilus Road that we're really closing. The start of the race is there. There'll probably be 750 runners. The race takes, for the slower people, about an hour and 20 minutes, but it no longer finishes on Nautilus Road. It finishes in the parking lot at Good Harbor Beach. So there's a closure on Nautilus. The people who live in the neighborhood can get out by going in the other direction. Lately, the police have fenced off the two roads that lead onto Nautilus, mainly Beach and Harbor Streets, makes it really safe. And that's kind of it. We've done this 16 years in a row. And we have it down pretty well. We have an incredible amount of volunteers, and we hand out notices to every house along the course. My wife and I do it the weekend before, and so far, so good.
Any questions?
No, I think we've described the streets that are gonna be closed, right?
Yep.
So that's the most important
We'll
thing.
read them again anyway, so.
Yeah. Sounds great. I love that you've reached out to all the folks, because I know that it does help so they can modify their plans and not be locked in on that particular day. So that's great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
3/4 of the field are really fast. It's a USA TF championship race last year. The woman who came in third was the US record holder and a 3-time Olympian. And that's what shows up for these things. So it's a blast to watch it because they're really fast people. So
Really fast. Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and move the Planning and Development Committee approve the road closure of Nautilus Road from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. on Sunday, September 24th, 2023, with a rain date of October 1st, 2023, for the Lone Gull 10K road race sponsored by the Children's Center for Communication to be held on Sunday, September 24th, 2023, from 9 a.m. until 10:45 a.m. with a rain date of October 1st, 2023, with the following conditions. 1, a certificate of insurance naming the city of Gloucester as an additional insured party has been filed with the city clerk's office. 2, road closure plan approvals of the Special Events Advisory Committee giving approval of the plans for the Lone Gull 10K road race have been given. Roads to be closed on the back shore to be marked with signage directing the public as to the duration of the closure and alternate routes. Traffic and parking plan and police detail information by the police chief or his designee is to be filed with the city clerk and the DPW director or his designee on or before September 14th, 2023. 3, refuse and comfort stations. All event refuse and recycling must be removed by the organizer. Any portable toilets with 2 handicapped accessible are to be provided and maintained by the organizer. They're to be placed by the evening before the day of the event or early in the morning of the day of the event and removed by 1 p.m. Sunday, September 24th, 2023. 4, emergency services. Any EMS requirements of the city EMS director must be met. 5, staffing. Event staff is to have cell phones and be identified by the public with distinct shirts. A list of event staff and their cell phone numbers is to be submitted by the police, fire, or DPW departments. 6, notification of immediate abutters and businesses to race route. Notice shall be made by the event organizer by hand or by mail no later than 7 days in advance of the event to any function halls, motels, and hotels and other businesses along the race route. 7, responsibility of the Children's Center for Communication. It is the sole responsibility of the Children's Center for Communication to ensure that all required documentation is timely filed with the appropriate city departments as indicated. Failure to comply with any conditions precedent may result in permanent revocation. Any changes to the route must receive prior approval from the police and fire departments. And I so move.
Second.
Any questions, discussions on the motion? Nope. Good to
Sounds
go.
great.
All in
Let's go.
favor? Aye. Opposed? No. I mean, no, nobody opposed. Sorry.
Got it.
My apologies.
Got it.
All eyes. All eyes upon you.
Thank you, Len.
Have a good
thank you
night.
so much. Thank you for your good work. Have a
Thank
good
you
night.
very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if Joel's not here anymore, we'll just call it a night. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Okay, go ahead.
My apologies.
How
Take a
are
time.
you, Counselor? Well, we got number 3 on the list. Special Council Permit 2023-002. Addison Street, number 29, map 25, lot 51, GZO sections 2.3.18, conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 7 or more dwelling units. 3.1.6B, building heights in excess of 35 feet, and 3.2.2 dimensional requirements for multifamily dwellings and their accessory uses other than signs for the practical addition of 1 dwelling unit, legal addition of 3 dwelling units in the R5 district. That's a mouthful. All right. What do we have, Mr. Fabaza?
All right, if you'll bear with me, I'll share my screen and we'll get through this together. Okay, for the record, my name is Joel Fabaza. I am an attorney at Seaside Legal Solutions with an address of 123 Main Street. I'm here on behalf of Churchill Corner Apartments LLC, that is the record owner of 29 Addison Street. 29 Addison Street has 2 residential buildings on there. The other one is known as 44 School Street. That is a postal address only, the legal address as noted by the chair is 29 Addison. So the proposed work, this is what we call the 44 School Street building. And the proposed work is to create a third dwelling unit inside this house. Right now, it is an oversized 2-family and looking to reconfigure interior space to make it 3 units in total. However, as I mentioned, there are 2 buildings on the property. This is the building we call 29 Addison. This is a 5-unit building in existence. However, it is on record with permits for only 3 dwelling units. So what we're trying to do today is create 1 new unit in that 44 School Street building and retroactively permit 2 units that were put into this building prior to my client's ownership, so that when we walk away from this permitting exercise, the property is up to compliance with the GZO. By way of background, the 7 separate dwelling units that are in there currently go back quite a ways in the assessor's records, but again, the building department only has permits for 5 of them. You can see that these buildings, according to the assessors, were built in 1850. I have a picture of an 1899 atlas showing them both in their initial shapes, which are almost exactly the same. I don't think the footprints have actually changed on either of them since that 1899 atlas happened. And we are in the R5 high density residential district. My client acquired the lot in 2018. When he was purchasing the property, he unfortunately did not use my office and used a zoning certificate from a company that told him, don't worry, you're all set. That property is legally a pre-existing non-conforming 7-unit property. You have no problems there. Unfortunately, as my client began renovating both of the buildings and pulling building permits, someone in the building department flagged that there were too many units on this property based on building department records. And as we began discussing how to solve that, we realized the comprehensive approach would be permit this 3rd unit in the yellow building and retroactively permit the 2 extra in the gray building that have been there, according to the previous owners, since the 60s. So we went to the Zoning Board of Appeals because the zoning ordinance has this as a 2-stop shopping trip. And so the Zoning Board of Appeals granted a pile of dimensional variances. As you can imagine, those 2 houses are close to each other and close to the lot lines. So we needed dimensional variances to allow them to stay where they are. And we also got a special permit to decrease the number of off-street parking, as well as avoid the parking lot essentially that would need to be constructed under the GZO otherwise. We're here tonight seeking 3 permits from you, one of which is a 2-part permit, keep that confusing. One is the multifamily special permit. That's the use permit itself to allow all 8 units of use to be on this one property. Then we need a special permit to exceed the maximum allowable height. The taller of the 2 buildings is 36 feet above average grade. You're only allowed 30 feet as a matter of right, and the zoning board can only provide relief up to 35 feet. So we're here for this as well. And then we need to get a special permit to decrease both the lot area and open space per dwelling unit. That's the 2-parter that you have control over. Also, this is a copy of the dimensional chart. As you can see, a lot of the heavy lifting was done at the ZBA. That's all the white lines. We're just here for these last 3 lines from the city council. Per usual, I have all the plans loaded in. This is the site plan. Again, as you look at this plan, which is south oriented, you'll see the building on the left is the yellow building we call 44 School Street. The building on the right is 29 Addison, the gray building that you've been looking at. I also have the floor plans for this gray building. As you can see, nothing is highlighted in red because there's no work being performed. All these units are already here. This is 44 School Street, that yellow building on the left. As you can see, the basement staying the same, 1st floor staying the same. 2nd floor, a little conversion of some space into a 2nd bedroom. You can also see that a new door is being put into the bathroom, another door is being taken out, very minor interior changes. Up to the 3rd floor, again, we're adding a kitchen, a new bath to create this 3rd unit. And then what was the attic is now going to be the 2 bedrooms on the top level. This is just the GIS satellite photography of the property. And here are, again, for references, some of the pictures that we submitted. You have what we call 29 on the right and 44 School on the left. Again, you can see that 44 School is in the process of renovation, hence all the building permits, and looks a little rougher than 29 does. The expectation is that when 44 is done, it will look as good as 29 does currently. So we've got a couple standards to apply. Overall, your use permit has to have a finding that what we're proposing here is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance. It will not have adverse effects on either the neighborhood, the R5 district, or the city itself to an extent that outweighs any of the benefits. So we can go through this 6-factor test. So you go social, economic, community needs. So I want to point out that there's what I call a big A affordable unit restriction. That's a legally restricted unit. And so one of these units at all times will have to be restricted as affordable, and that'll be, I think, administered through the grants department. But in reality, regardless of which of these units is the big A legal affordable, given the neighborhood and the size of these units, we have what I would call little A affordable housing, and that regardless of which unit it is, this extra 1 unit going into 44 will be pragmatically affordable. This is a good place for apartments. It's convenient to public transportation as well as downtown amenities. And of course, as you know, we are over 300 units short of the goal we set in 2017. Our housing production plan said we needed about 650 new units of housing by 2022 to avoid a housing crisis. I think we permitted maybe 300, including the 225 at Dolben. So we are still in desperate need of adding housing where we can to help abate what we are now seeing is a active housing crisis. Excuse me. Traffic flow and safety, we have 2 conforming parking spaces, but in reality, you can accommodate 4 cars in a snow emergency. Obviously, the ZBA has jurisdiction over the parking in general, and they have given us the relief we need to reduce the number of required spaces, but it may factor into your deliberations on traffic flow itself. Again, based on my client's history of the property since its purchase in 2018, these apartments appear ideal for tenants who do not have and do not want a vehicle. Again, as I mentioned, it's close to the commuter rail, it's close to downtown. Cater routes are nearby, you can walk to Shaw's. Very, very easy to live in these apartments and not have your own car. And then again, as you look at traffic flow and safety globally, you go, okay, what does one more 2-bedroom unit do for traffic along a busy street like Prospect or Railroad? You probably can't measure any actual change to it. Adequacy of utilities, we are in the downtown. We have plenty of high-grade, high-capacity water, electric, gas infrastructure, sewer infrastructure, trash pickup. There's already 7 units on site. Again, 1 more is not going to make a drop in the bucket, really. Neighborhood character and social structure, we are in a neighborhood full of tight multifamily homes. This keeps with its neighborhood character. We are located, as I mentioned, in the high-density residential district. This is the district in town that is designated to have the highest density of residential development. So it's only fitting that you find apartment buildings like we're proposing in this district. And then again, the exterior of the structures, the layout of the lot, the driveway itself is not changing. So anybody who's not on this call tonight or wasn't at the ZBA will keep walking by this building and will probably only notice that it got nicer from the outside, but won't be any impact to the neighborhood or to the greater zoning district as a result of any changes. Qualities of the natural environment, there'll be no changes because the work is all interior. And then potential fiscal impact, per usual, if you add a dwelling unit to the city, you add new growth tax revenue to the city, which is the only way we get around the Prop 2.5 ceiling every year. And also potential impact potential fiscal impact to my client, provides him the revenue he's going to need to use for capital upgrades. So one thing we have to do in addition to retroactively permitting the 5-unit building is install a sprinkler system. And installing a sprinkler system is fairly expensive. And again, this property as a whole is going to have to generate sufficient revenue to cover the expenses of this endeavor. So that's the use permit standards. We'll hop quickly to the height standards. This is probably one of the easier ones. You have to make sure that what we're doing is not going to adversely impair people from views, overshadowing, impairment of utilities, etc. So this is real simple because the current building height is not changing if you grant this permit. So there'll be no changes to the shadow pattern, views, or anything like that. And on the flip side, if you were to, for some reason, deny this permit, you wouldn't be saving anyone anything. because the building height still wouldn't be changing. It would still be exactly how it is tomorrow as it is today. So this hopefully is a pretty easy lift to say, yeah, this is met the standard for not impairing views, et cetera, seeing as we're just leaving these buildings that have been here since 1850 as they are. And then when we go for the decrease in lot area and open space, you have to make a finding that the lesser lot area and open space is in keeping with neighborhood character. And again, if you go down Addison Street, School Street, any of the neighboring streets, there's a very dense residential neighborhood. I would be shocked if you could find me any multifamily anywhere near there that comes close to meeting the open space and lot area requirements. And again, from the outside, this is going to look and function the exact same. There is pragmatically only one new unit going in. And again, drop in the bucket, I don't really think you'll notice an impact to the neighborhood. So in conclusion, I think we are maintaining neighborhood character. I think we are doing good for the city versus harm for the city. And I believe we've met the requirements for all three types of special permits. Anyone jotting it down and may not have a motion in front of them, here's what we'd be asking for. Again, an 8-unit special permit for use, a 36-foot allowable height permit, and relief of 1,125 square feet of open space and 1,863.25 square feet of lot area per dwelling unit. And as always, I thank you. I'll kill the screen share so we can see each other, and if you have any questions, I will do my best.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any immediate questions? Councilor Neal.
It's high. I wasn't realizing that 44 School Street was included in this project. The 29 Addison Street, I looked up, the assessor has it as a 2-family. And you mentioned that it was a three dwelling units, but on the assessor's page, it says it's a 2-family building.
So I believe, and I'll happily check it. I believe there'll be 2 buildings listed on that assessor's record, and what we call 44 School is listed as a 2-family because there are only 2 units in it. So
Well,
build,
I'm talking 29 Addison.
yeah. So I pull up 29 Addison. Building 1 says occupancy 2. That's the yellow building that we're going from 2 until to 3. You the building 2, that's the gray one, this is occupancy 5.
Okay, so 29 Addison Street is a 2-family and you want to make it a 3-family.
The yellow building on the lot that people refer to as 44 School,
Okay,
2-family, we want to make it a 3-family. But because it is on a lot with a 5-family already, the lot gets permitted as a whole, and so it's quote unquote 8 units across these 2 buildings, 3 and 5.
so there's 5 units at 29 Addison Street?
Yes, the gray building on the lot that everyone calls 29 Addison has 5 units, and it has had 5 units, as best we can tell, back into the 60s.
So it has, is that what the assessor says on his page of 29 Addison?
Yes, on 29 Addison Street, building 2, which is the gray building, shows 5 units. And if you dig back through the records for the last couple of decades, it holds that. Eventually it gets blurry. It goes from saying 5 specifically to just 4 to 8. But again, speaking with the owner's family, these 5 units appear to go back decades.
So the gray building,
The gray building,
5 units
5 units
currently.
currently.
Okay,
Or-
so all you want to do is add a 3rd dwelling unit to 44 School Street.
Yes, the yellow one. All I do.
Okay.
The issue we have is that, per usual, there's a unfortunate disconnect between the records of the building department and the records of the assessor's department. So whereas the assessors, again, for decades, have been recognizing the 5 units in the gray building, the building department doesn't have anything on record in their files that these units were ever added legally. And
What's the building department say?
the building department thinks there should only be 3 in the gray building legally right now. And that when it went from 3 to 5, it was done without permits or, we don't really know because it was so long ago. But the building department can only find justification in their records for 3. The assessors have 5 pretty consistently.
Okay, and nothing's being done to 29 Addison.
No, it's already been fully rehabilitated. You went in and
All right,
all
it's
the
just
units.
one unit.
Actually,
one
I take
unit.
that, I'm sorry, I take that back. We do have to add a sprinkler system to the 5-unit building as part of this work. If we get through this, the one last piece of renovation to 29 is to go add a sprinkler system per the building department.
But that's not a city council issue. That's.
No,
that's
it's just, it's one of the things that will trigger. So for instance, if we were denied this permit and we had to reduce the 5-family down to 3 units and delete out 2 apartments, it would not get sprinkled because it would no longer require that. The building department is saying, if you want us to recognize all 5 units, then you better sprinkle them because 5 triggers that requirement.
Are they currently, are all 5 units currently being used?
Yes, I believe the gray building's fully occupied.
Okay.
You have some questions?
I do.
All right. You
Go
want
ahead.
to go and you
Yes,
come back
please
and
do, yes, please.
ping pong back and forth.
Through the chair,
Yes.
may I ask, Madam Clerk, would you mind going over the details of when all this information was signed? Including the, when the city clerk received it, when the city council did, when the building inspector and the planning director, just for the record.
All right, it was received by the city clerk on January 30th, 2023. Received by the city council February 14th, 2023. Planning director. I do not have that information in the application.
I have it, I think, if I can read correctly, it's very tiny. Oh. Wait a sec. It's planning director on January 27th, 2023. And the building
Oh,
inspector on
yes.
January 27th, 2023.
Correct, yeah,
Great,
that's when they signed off, yeah.
awesome. And my second question is to Attorney Servaza. Joel, on the, on your application, which is on page 13 of our packet tonight, under 1.8.3, under social, economic, or community needs served by the proposal, you say allowing the creation of the 8th dwelling will provide the city with an additional unit of little a affordable housing in close proximity to the commuter rail. But you did not put in that it also will be a big A affordable unit restriction. So is that just something that you left out of the application? Because I find that to be particularly intriguing and important to us.
Yeah, so it was one of those, you shouldn't assume anything. We knew we had to do it. The building department, we've been through this application with the building department so many times over the last year to figure out how exactly we should be handling it. That was just an oversight. The reason I talk about little a is that the particular unit being constructed may not be or may not always be the big A restricted unit. And so, but regardless of whether that happens to be the big A restricted unit or simply another unit in the building, it'll still be pragmatically affordable given, the location and composition of the property itself. But to the degree that anyone's worrying, we certainly recognize and understand that at least one unit at all times would be restricted, big A affordable and administered with the oversight that comes with it.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions. Thank you. Yep.
Anything else?
Yeah, no, I was thinking that as well. Parking is always an issue, but I don't think one more apartment is going to, it's a 2-bedroom apartment. I can't see all these people who signed off. It's a tough one, but one of the ordinances states you need 1.5 parking spaces, but you've got that waived already, right?
Yes, we've already received relief from the zoning board to reduce the amount of parking to what's provided already.
And I was looking at 29 Addison Street all by itself. And never mind. It's just fine. This, you've done a lot of work, so.
Joel, I just want to go with clarification on the big A affordable, because we know that it triggers the inclusionary housing. You're mentioning, the way you're making it sound, it sounds to me that may not be a single dedicated unit within the compound that may rotate around or change in the future.
So in my experience with other multifamilies here in town, it's typically better to allow that unit to be redesignated. So for example, it may be the one bedroom for a time, and then the next time it goes up for renewal, then maybe someone who doesn't qualify, but there's a family for one of the bigger 2 bedrooms that would qualify. And so you move the restriction off that little 1 bedroom and put it on the 2 bedroom. And that's what we've handled other multifamilies that have permitted in the past, just to make sure that the variety of housing in those buildings can all, at some point, as the needs arise, satisfy the requirement.
So the requirement really is that only one unit on the building, on the property in total is required to be dedicated to affordable housing. It doesn't have to be a specified unit, in perpetuity. That can't be used to then get rid of somebody, evict somebody, can they? I mean, you couldn't have a situation where you could, if somebody's living there, you can't remove them if you want to make another unit in the building the new affordable unit, and that person no longer qualifies?
Oh, to strip
Yes.
away from someone. No, I don't think that would be permissible. Again, the qualifying units administered in the city department, so
They would have to approve it.
yeah. And I also imagine that these people come in under a written lease. And so again, the only time you'd have the opportunity would be at the end of a lease to non-renew, and then maybe you can move the restriction over. But you certainly couldn't stop someone mid-lease and say, hey, this is no longer the affordable, so your rent's going through the roof, or you're gonna have to get out. Like that's basic.
I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Attorney Favazza, have you notified the 17 abutters?
Yes, went out by mailing, and all the receipts for the mailing have been sent to the clerk already.
February 22nd.
Great, have you heard back from any of them?
We have not heard a peep, and no one came to ZBA.
Okay, thank you.
So at this point, we can either make a motion and move this along. Do we feel we need a site visit? There's nothing to see from the outside.
I don't.
No, I drove by.
Yeah, I drove by today as well. Well, in that case, unless there's any other discussion about any changes to, or any conditions that we might want to put on this, I think that we can go ahead and make a motion and move this to the full city council.
Sure.
Yeah, feel good about that?
Yeah, will there be a discussion after the motion, right?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, in that case, I move that the Planning and Development Committee recommend that the city council grant to Churchill Corner Apartment LLC a special council permit 2023-002 for the property located at Addison Street, number 29, Assessors Map 25, Lot 51, R5 District, pursuant to Gloucester zoning ordinance section 2.3.18, conversion to or new multifamily or apartment dwelling, 7 or more dwelling units for the conversion of a 5-family to an 8-family dwelling, and pursuant to Gloucester zoning ordinance 3.1.6b, building heights in excess of 35 feet, for the building to remain at 36 feet, and pursuant to Gloucester zoning ordinance 3.2.2, dimensional requirements for multifamily dwellings and their accessory uses other than signs, for minimum lot space per dwelling units and minimum open space per dwelling unit as follows. Minimum lot area per dwelling unit square foot. Required dimension is 2,500 feet. The existing dimension is 727.71 feet, with a proposed dimension of 636.75 feet for a granted relief of 1,863.25 feet. And minimum open space per dwelling unit square footage, required dimension 1,250, existing dimension 142.86, and a proposed dimension of 125 with a granted relief of 1,125 feet. This permit is made on the basis of plans and elevations dated August 28, 2019, 4 plans for 29 Addison and submitted to the city clerk on January 30th, 2023, entitled Basement Plan, Proposed First Floor Plan, Proposed Second Floor Plan, and Proposed Attic Plan, and also made on the basis of plans and elevations for 44 School Street, 5 plans dated July 6, 2021, entitled Existing Basement Plan, July 7, 2021, entitled First Floor Existing Plan, July 7, 2021, entitled Second Floor Proposed and Permitted Plan, July 7, 2021, entitled Third Floor Proposed Plan, and July 6, 2021, entitled Attic Floor Proposed Plan, and submitted to the city clerk on January 23rd, 2023. Subject to new information and or debate that results in the public hearing, the special permit is deemed to be in harmony with the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance as outlined in section 1.8.3 as described by the applicant, and I so move.
Second.
Would you like any discussion on the motion?
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yes.
words there. Go ahead.
Yes, please. So,
Please.
because I live in this neighborhood, it's very dense. And, the zoning ordinance 3.2.1 states maximum lot coverage of all structures, total of all structures to be 35%. And I was just going on 29 Addison Street. I was wondering why 44 was in there. I didn't understand that, so that's my fault. But if you just go by 29 Addison Street there, as opposed to 35% of the structures on the lot, they're up to 67.5%. So they're almost double already as far as dwelling units go or residential units go. Plus parking, I know, I harp on it all the time. I fought with my neighbor for 60 years over parking. I took a drive down Addison Street at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, excuse me, and there were no parking spaces to be had, none whatsoever. I have pictures. If you want to- I took pictures because, I mean, this, I hate to be such a stick in the mud, but the required dimension is 2,500 and the existing dimension is 727. So, I mean, it's like 1/3 of what it needs to be, and we're just adding people on top of people on top of people, and I mean, you've jumped through all the hoops, you've done everything, Joel. I'm just stuck on the density and the parking, so I think I'll probably be alone on this as far as you guys and the council goes, but I can't support it. I have to think of the people that are living there now. So, sorry.
On the motion?
Sure. On the motion, I will be supporting this. I think it's proper that you're bringing everything up to the right code in terms of acknowledging where things have been missed. I like the fact that there's a big A affordable unit restriction. I think that's helpful. And basically from the neighborhood, nothing really is changing in terms of height or what's currently there. So there's no modifications that will really change the impression of this special council permit. So I will be supporting it.
All right, anything else? Would you care to add anything?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, we're good to go?
Mhm.
All right, well, why don't we take a vote then? We need to discuss, well, we should take the vote first.
Correct.
So all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? No? O'Neill? It's 2-1 passes for planning vote. So now we need to talk about public hearing. So Sherry, what do you think?
You either do March 14th or March 28th. The only caveat with March 14th. Oh, actually, no, that's fine because you voted on it tonight. So either one is fine.
All
It
right,
just has to, the 65th day is April 4th.
why don't
So
we go for March 14th?
14th.
All right, good for March 14th, Joel?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, we'll see you on the 14th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Excellent. that is it. Is there anything else we'd like to talk about?
Nope.
No? No? Okay. Would you like to talk about anything
I'm
else?
good.
You're good to go.
You good?
I'm more than good. How about a motion to adjourn would be in order?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody. Thank you
Good
very
night.
much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Sharon.
Good deal.
Thanks, Sherry.
1 second.
That was easy.
You know, I like these under hour meetings.